This show has allowed all kinds of people to come on. People we agree with, people we don't agree with. I've not been a fan of this man's. I don't like how he talks to us. I don't like how he talks to the nation.
I'm not really sure where to begin with this one, everyone, because Whoopi Goldberg recently received a 2-year prison sentence for a joke that went too far.
Today, Elon Musk took his son X to a press conference. I did not name the child. And I don't want to hear any more mess about our names, okay?
I get what you're thinking, but it's a joke. He makes cheesy jokes about everything. But let's face it, Elon Musk is not your typical celebrity. He is a billionaire who has the power to make things vanish with a single tweet, and he takes his relatives seriously.
This is not something I'd recommend, frankly. Yeah. I don't know what else to say, but it is. I'm just looking at this video and it's so bizarre.
Since Whoopi's real name is Karen, it seemed like a lighthearted joke. But on the internet, people were not happy and videos of her remarks went viral. Before you knew it, people were criticizing Whoopi for making fun of an innocent child. One commenter said that attacking a 4-year-old shows she's intellectually less mature than a little kid. This all began when the View ladies were sitting around doing what they do best, talking about unusual baby names. You know, Elon Musk's son's name was about to come up. Another one was added when they defamed a 4-year-old, and as we all know, Elon Musk isn't the type to just sit back when it comes to his family. The tech billionaire went into revenge mode and called Whoopi disgusting, but that was only the beginning. According to insiders, Elon was consulting his lawyers about bringing a lawsuit against Whoopi, and they were investigating whether or not her remarks could be construed as harassment or defamation. Elon Musk doesn't just have regular attorneys.
All the sort of federal money going to media companies is what it helps explain why the legacy media all says the same thing at the same time.
Now, when Whoopi noticed the backlash, she didn't seem to care. She even laughed it off, essentially saying that it was a joke. However, she later realized that Elon Musk was very serious about this. So the very next day on The View, she tried to clean it up by saying something like, "Listen, I wasn't making fun of the kid. I was just confused about the name, that's all." However, it was too late because Musk wasn't just sitting silent. He took actual action and sued Whoopi for defamation and harassment. You already know that Elon Musk had the best legal team in the US because of his enormous wealth.
Somebody's gonna try to blackmail me with advertising? Blackmail me with money? Go f yourself.
When Whoopi entered the courtroom, the judge declared that she must face the consequences of her remarks for making fun of a child on national television. The moment that everyone had been anticipating arrived rather early, and let me tell you that nobody noticed that she would be on probation for 2 years, which means she must behave herself perfectly and avoid any mishaps or controversies. According to a lot of credible sources, it was in the millions enough to justify even Whoopi's modest public apology rather than a straightforward one. Either she was mandated to publicly apologize to Elon and his son, and I apologize.
You know, when you're a certain age, you use words that you know from when you were a kid or you remember saying, and that's what I did today, and I shouldn't have. I should have thought about it a little longer before I said it, but I didn't.
Now, Whoopi has been in Hollywood for a while and has weathered controversies, scandals, and media storms, but this verdict broke her. She looked shocked, as if she truly thought the 2-year sentence would be a slap on the wrist, and she even tried one last time to explain herself, saying things like, "I never meant to offend anyone, I was just making a joke." But the judge wasn't satisfied with it. By the time she left the courtroom, the paparazzi jumped on her, taking pictures of her looking stressed out and avoiding the cameras. This was not the Whoopi Goldberg we usually see on The View. Instead, she was a woman who had just realized that her entire career might be over, and she would spend the next 2 years in prison. Kim Godwin, the president of BBC News, said in a statement that, effective immediately, she was suspending Whoopi Goldberg for 2 weeks for her hurtful and incorrect remarks. Although Whoopi has apologized, I have asked her to take some time to think about the consequences of her remarks. This is where things got messy because, while ABC was working to clean up the mess, Elon's legal team had already filed complaints. Seeing as how public feuds amongst celebrities are one thing, the big bosses start to panic when a millionaire is involved. So here's what happened behind the scenes. Due to the fact that brands dislike ugly drama and would never want to be involved in an Elon Musk versus Whoopi Goldberg dispute, advertisers began to step away. Large sponsors began to reevaluate their agreements with The View. Even Whoopi's co-hosts were acting strangely about it, and there were rumors that higher-ups were considering suspending Whoopi because they didn't want to risk a feud with Elon Musk. ABC executives had serious discussions about what to do next. Normally, Joy Behar would remain silent, but this time, the show's energy was off. There were even rumors that Whoopi's contract was being suspended, and ABC was considering whether they had the right to fire her if things worsened. By this point, it was obvious that this was no longer a joke and that it was becoming a serious crisis. People have already made up their minds, so the worst thing you can do when you're in hot water like this is to backtrack. Fans weren't buying her explanation, and the internet's response was essentially Whoopi. If you weren't making fun of the child, why did you laugh so much? You should have just apologized instead of acting like it was a simple joke.
X is an adorable name, and perhaps a grown woman who named herself Whoopi should refrain from mocking a 4-year-old for the name his parents gave him. Yes, Whoopi picked that name for herself. She's actually Karen Elaine Johnson.
Now this is the real question. Will Whoopi survive this mess? This isn't just some Twitter drama anymore. She's getting a lot of negative feedback from fans, reviewers, and even her own network, and ABC is terrified. Look at these responses to see if they're holding private meetings to determine whether Whoopi is a liability to have around. Whoopi has turned into the worst person on the planet. She ought to be dismissed, at the very least, even though she is Karen by nature. This is where things get more complicated. ABC is reportedly discreetly searching for a successor in case they have to fire Whoopi off the show, because let's face it, she messed with the wrong person, according to some sources. Elon is not a celebrity who can be disregarded. He has money, power, and influence, and he recently demonstrated to the world that he is prepared to use them all. Therefore, we must now consider if Whoopi should be imprisoned or if this situation is simply too much for her. For more videos, subscribe to this channel and share your ideas in the comments.